Hello and welcome. My name is Brenda. My channel is Handwork Maniac. Today is Saturday, April 20th, and I need to get a floss tube made to get caught up. Okay, so today I have two finishes, a boatload of whips, works in progress that I've worked on since the last video because it's been over 2 months. One new start, a whole bunch of purchases because I've been to 2 retreats, and some plans, and I'll do the the 2 retreats at the end of the video. All right, let's start with finishes. This is Salt Lake City by Awesome Pattern Studio. I stitched it on a 40 count Summer Wind by Silkweaver. With the called for DMC. And I love it. I just think it's so beautiful. Salt Lake City is about 45 minutes north of me. And then I also finished Sweet Like Chocolate. Oh, this needs something behind it. Oh, well. Oh, and it got a crease in it. Oh my goodness, what happened? It is by Emma Congden. It was in the World of Cross Stitch magazine, April of 2019. I call it Sweet Like Chocolate. The top of the page in that particular magazine calls it Chocolate Hanging. I did mine on 32 count white even weave with the called for DMC, 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. And on Salt Lake City, that was 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads on the 40 count. But this one's 32 count. It made me want to eat chocolate every time I worked on it. But it was so fun to make. I loved it. Lots of backstitch, but that's what makes it so beautiful. Okay. Oh, and I have a runny nose, and I don't know if I have a tissue down here, rats. Let's get on to the boatload of pieces I've worked on since the last video. I have in the low, like something like 53, 54 whips right now. And I think I've worked on about half of them since the last video. So this will be like a mini whip parade here for a minute. Let's do the stitch alongs first. I have, it's either 5 or 6 projects that have a monthly assignment that I need to get done every month. So let's do those first. This first one is Kingdom of Books by Andriana, A-N-D-R-I-A-N-N-A. It's a kit. It came with 14 count Aida, but I decided to stitch it on 16 or 18 count? I should know this by now. Goodness. This little card, oh my gosh. 18 count Aida in the color Caramel Cream by Vintage Needle Arts. And I am not stitching this background up here or this shelf down here. I have stitched just a couple of rows of this shelf to give it an anchor, to give it a shadow on the bottom. And then I chose fabric that was kind of the same color as this background so that I did not need to stitch the background. My friend Sharon and I are stitching this together. We figured if we did a half of a book a month, we could finish it in 3 years. And then we took a year off last year. We kind of got waylaid. But we're back on track, and we plan on finishing it by the end of this year. And here it is. The titles on the pattern are in Russian because it's a Russian kit. But when you translate the titles, they are all about the Netherlands. So I believe that these are meant to be the canal houses, the tall skinny houses along the canal in Amsterdam. I have changed, my good friend Mary translated all the titles for me to English, and I'm stitching them in English. And I have not done, this is the April section right here, which I have not done, but I did finish March. So those are the last few books that I did. Using the kit floss, 2 strands of floss over 1/8 square on 18 count. All right, Spring Creek Fever is a kit from Elsa Williams. My dad made a gorgeous frame out of wood, and I want to stitch this because it will fit just perfectly in the frame if I do it on a different fabric. The kit comes with 14 count Aida, and I am using the kit floss, but I am using a different fabric. I'm using All the Things 40 count by Mystic Fabric, and I chose that so that it would fit on the frame. I'm also cutting off the bottom 18 rows so that it will fit. Just some of this down here, so it won't matter. Oh my goodness. At the beginning of the year, I divided it. It wasn't going very fast. I started it last year sometime. So I divided it into 12 parts so that I could try and get a part of it done every month, so it will be done by the end of the year. And March's section is done. It's like right here, but I haven't done April's section yet. But I just love how it's looking. I did a basting thread right here to show me where, because I measured it exactly on this fabric, how the stitches are stitching after I'd stitched a bit. I measured exactly how tall it needs to be to fit on the frame that my dad made. So that basting line lets me know that when I get down to that basting line, don't stitch anything underneath that. It is 40 count fabric. It's over dyed, so it's a little tight. I'd say it's more like 43 count, which is why I wanted to measure it exactly. And I'm using 1 strand of the kit floss over 2 fabric threads. There are blended threads in this pattern, and so for the blended parts, I put the 2 different colors together, and I am just doing a half cross, because with 2 strands, it would be way too squishy to do a full cross. If it's not a blended thread, then it's just 1 strand of floss, and it is a full cross. I hope that made sense. But I think it's just looking so beautiful. It's like a watercolor. It's just gorgeous. This one is the Fabulous Houses series by Cottage Garden Samplings. I'm doing it all in one big piece of fabric. It started in, I want to say the first chart came out in November. Usually comes out about the 10th or the 12th-ish of each month is when I get the chart at my house. So I'll show you all of them, but this is the one that I stitched in mostly March, and it is I'm almost finished with that section. And then this is the chart that we just got, the Hobbit House. I got it about a week ago. So I've decided that as soon as the chart comes every month, I will go ahead and start that square and make sure I stitch across on the previous one so that I can tell where the next one starts, even if I don't finish. And I'll start doing an hour every day on the new chart, and then after that hour, I'll go back when I have extra time, work on the other ones that aren't done. So far, I've been able to finish them all eventually, and I just have a little bit left on this one. But man, it's a lot of stitching. Each square is 120 by 120. And they're not full coverage, but there are a good section of it that is full coverage. So I am using the I am using the called for threads. It's mostly DMC. Sometimes there are 1 or 2 over-dyed cottons, but the rest are DMC each month. To take the Q snaps off so you can see the whole thing. So far, so I finished Santa's house. That was the one that came out in November, and then the castle came the next month, and then the greenhouse. Look at that cute little kitty right below the front door of the greenhouse. I am almost finished with the cottage. I just need to finish filling in this patio, I'm thinking is what it is. And a little, there's this green extends clear across here, and then I just have a couple of flowers and the rest of the border over there, a little bit of border. And then I started on the Hobbit house right here. Mine is on the called for color, which is Fox and Rabbit Prehistoric, but I didn't do the called for count. The called for count is 40 count, mine is 46 count. And I'm using 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. This one is Halloween Sampler by Teresa Kogut. It is in this Teresa Kogut book called Hello Halloween. It's the one on the cover. But she also has it as a Patreon pattern. The Patreon pattern has orange fill-in behind that middle section. The book one does not. And it's 2 colors of orange, kind of in a swirly pattern. I think I want to do that orange, but I think I want to do it with 2 strands of floss in a half cross, so it will go faster and it will kind of make a texture to it. It'll be cool. But I haven't decided for sure yet. Oh, a couple of friends and I were stitching it together and wanted it to not languish, so we decided we wanted to finish it in 2 years. That is upside down. So I divided the middle section into 24 sections, and then I divided that border, which is a whole bunch of black cats. I divided it up so we only had to do 1 black cat a month, and there weren't quite 24. There's only 20, so the black cat's border should be done before the middle part is done. I am using the called for threads, but I'm not using the called for fabric. I'm using 46 count Dark Mountain by XJU Designs. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. I've started on the April section, but not quite finished it yet. But it is so cute. We started it in September, over Memorial Day weekend. All of these stitch-alongs, they're so fun to start, but they're definitely challenging me to stay caught up. This one, oh, and I don't have the latest one printed out. This is the Teresa Kogut Patreon stitch-along. It's a 2-year stitch-along. It started in January, I believe. We have received this section right here. I just haven't printed it out yet. And I haven't started on it yet. But it's by Teresa Kogut and it's called Hometown Stitch Along, available in her Patreon store. So you have to be a Patreon member of hers. Oh, mine is on. Oh man, what is mine on? Buttercream. It's on Lakeside Linens 40 count buttercream. And I have, it comes out on the 15th of each month. So I have it caught up through April 15th, but I didn't do the one yet that just came out. These two stores are charted to be the same color. I had already started on it in the called for color, and then Teresa is stitching along with us and decided to use this Indian summer color. I think it's Weeks Dye Works for her two houses. So I decided to do this one in the called for DMC and this one in the Indian summer. And I thought they turned out really cute. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. It's all DMC. Charted for DMC, and then as she's stitching along she sometimes recommends an overdye that you might want to use. And the last stitch along is the one that a group of friends and I do from October to October every year. The leader of our stitch along is Colette. She is her Flosstube. She has a fabulous Flosstube called, oh my gosh, Highway Stitcher. I was gonna say Stitching on the Highway, but that's not it. Highway Stitcher, because she travels a lot. And her Instagram is Colette Stitches, I believe. But we see each other at StitchWest every year in October. That's a retreat put on by Deb and Kef of the Flosstube channel Snug Harbor Crafts. So if you're interested in that retreat, you need to watch their Flosstube. And one of the ones, and they also do a spring one, which is one of the retreats I just went to. Mine is on, oh, it's, Au fil de Nichoirs by Jardin Prive. I believe the literal translation is from nest house to nest house. I can't think what it was, but I had someone who works out as a translator say that she would say, I need to write it down. It was like the air between, I'll look it up. It was fabulous. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of, it's 12 birdhouses on a fence, and each birdhouse is themed for the month. Starts with January and goes through December, or for the season, I guess. And I'm stitching mine on 46 count oatmeal by Fiber on a Whim. You're welcome to join us. The hashtag is OCT2OCTSAL, OCT to OCT. That's October to October SAL. We also have a hashtag of the name of the chart, Au fil de Nichoirs. The needle minders are not being helpful. And do we have another one? Oh, birdhouses. Birdhouses SAL is our other hashtag. We try and have it finished by the time we get back to StitchWest again in October, but so we have it divided into 12 sections. One birdhouse per section, per month. But you can start at any time in October and end at any time in October. You don't have to come to the retreat to participate. I started with the October house in October. So I did October, November, December, and then January, February, March, April. I just finished the April birdhouse. I stitched this top border before we started. Like I stitched up from this, no, I started at the corner and stitched it all the way across this top border so that I could find where the October house started. I know some people started in the middle top center right here where the sunshine is to count off of one way or the other. That was also a good idea. And some people just started with this house in October and just decided they didn't care that it wasn't that month's house. They were just going to do a house a month. You can do it any way you want. I changed the color of my duck. It's supposed to be an ecru. And I did one strand of ecru and one strand of the 841 as a half cross because I was using 2 strands of floss, so that was really squishy if I did a full cross. So I just did a half cross of a kind of a blended color so he didn't blend into the fence so much. Otherwise I'm using the called for, oh, except I think it called for 3865 and I changed to blanc for the white. All right, that was all of the stitch-alongs. This one is Sleeping Princess by Mirabilia. Here she is. My daughter Catherine finished that upper section of the bedstead for me last year. I worked more on the mattresses down here and this blanket sheet that is hanging down. This is 32 count water lily linen. I'm using 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads with the called for DMC. She is so beautiful. I love all the bright colors in the mattresses. So fun to work on. This one is Vintage Black Sampler by Al Forrest Embroidery. Mine is on 20 count opalescent Aida. And then using black sulky, S-U-L-K-Y cotton thread. It's thicker. It's like pearl cotton kind of. So I'm just using 1 strand of the sulky over 1 Aida square on this 20 count opalescent white. And I bought a jumbo spool of the black sulky. It is number 1005. You can get it in a jumbo spool. You can get it in a little king spool that's like the size of a spool of thread you'd use on a sewing machine, or you can get it in the little petite spool, all the sulky 12 weight. Worked a lot on that house, put the cat on top. That was fun. Added the Zeppelin. I worked on Home is Where My Stitching Is by The Primitive Hare. It came as a kit from Shakespeare's Peddler. I believe it was a fundraiser through her, with the fabric and all the floss. But I chose to do it on 36 count agave even weave linen, agave linen from Zweigart. And I'm using a conversion of sulky 12 weight thread colors and white floche, DMC floche, F-L-O-C-H-E. It's thicker like pearl cotton, but it's also very soft, so it lays down flat when you stitch. So it's thicker but lays down flatter. Sulky 12 weight is about the same thickness, but it stays round when you stitch with it. Hopefully that made some kind of sense. And here's where I am so far. Worked more on that beautiful house. One strand of sulky or floche over 2 fabric threads on 36 count. And I love the coverage of that floche. You cannot see the fabric through there. I've had a snow day project that I've been working on all winter, every day that it snows here. It's by Shannon Christine, and it's called Snow Day. Mine is on Zweigart light blue even weave with the called for DMC. And we had a lot of snow days this year, more than we normally do. Here's how the year started in November and December. And then January, February, March, a lot of snow days. Sometimes it would just get one thread on that day because that's all I had time for. Or sometimes it will have snowed 3 days that week and I got caught up on Saturday. I started in the middle and then stitched up until I found the top. And then I was working my way back down to find the bottom. I worked a lot on that house lately and that tree next to it. I love this light blue, Zweigart light blue with this called for colors. I think it's such a beautiful combination. And it does, let's just make sure. It does call for B5200, and that is what I'm using. DMC B5200. 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads on 32 count even weave. This is Rainbow Color Blocks by Vivsters. Mine is on, I'm not sure if it's 40 or 46 count antique white linen. Probably 46. Goodness. I'm using the called for DMC. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. Once I finish these 2 rows across, I'll be halfway done. I just love her color palette. I just think it's so pretty. Spring Moon by Plum Street Samplers was I had a new start in February with my friend Kim. They have a model of it at Shepherd's Bush, and she saw the model and said, "We have to stitch this." And I agreed. It is a pretty, pretty piece. Mine is not on the called for color. I think the called for color is baked clay. Mine, and I think it's, might be 40 count. Oh, 36 count baked clay is the called for. Mine is on 46 count Peanut by Bestitch Me, which I think is very similar to what the cover photo looks like. Baked clay, at least the one I was looking at, is much darker. Using the called for colors, 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. This is estate. I wonder how you say that in Italian. Estate, or summer in Italian, by Sarah Germani. It calls for DMC, a lot of them, a lot, but it is so pretty. Mine is on 40 count. Oh, I left it upstairs, darn. Mine is on 40 count Scout by Seraphim. It kind of has there's sections of it that kind of have a blue overcast and sections of it that have a tan, a yellowy tan overcast to it. I think it's beautiful. I tried to place it on the fabric so that the bluish sections would end up in the sky and the tannish sections would be more in the ground areas. I started in the middle, using 1 strand of the called for DMC over 2 fabric threads. But you can see almost all the roofs of all the houses are in 3371. And you can see right here on this house that quite a bit of the fabric is showing through. It's just not great coverage for that really dark color on this really light fabric. So when I got to this house, I decided to try something different, and I got out some 12 weight sulky in a brown color, which I left upstairs, so I don't know what number it is, but it's very close to 3371. And I stitched the house in that sulky, this 3371 roof on all of this too, and the windows and the door and everything on this house in the sulky. And I like the coverage so much better. It is a little thicker, like you can feel it that it's thicker, but I feel like I think it's a cool effect. I feel like it's like a thatched roof or something, but I love the coverage so much better than this one. And it's going to be quite large. It is 280 by 263. And these are all the DMC colors. A few, but oh so pretty. This was also a new start in February. It's called In the Library by Mojo Stitches. And it calls for cottage garden threads, which is what I'm using. And it calls for fox and rabbit baked clay, which is also what I'm using, 32 count. I saw Lala D Stitches working on this, her Flosstube Lala D Stitches. And I just thought, oh, I need that right away. So I found it on Etsy and started it right away. Oh, and I ordered the fabric because I wanted to do it in the fabric and the floss that it called for from Garon Stitchery. And they had a pack of the called for floss for this project and the pattern. And their shipping is so fast. I don't know how they do it. They ship the same day every time that I order, and then it shows up at my house just 2 or 3 days later. If you want something fast, Garon Stitchery, they're the fastest shipping. They're on it. Did a little bit of the border and that middle shelf. I started in the middle. That was a fun one. It's 32 count, 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. And when I'm using over-dyed floss, I do cross my X's as I go because I like as much color variation as possible when I'm using an over-dyed. I love to see all the different colors in it. But you can totally do a loop start. Like if you cut the floss, I cut the floss 2 pieces, pulled the same out of there so that the color variations on a match, and then I cross my X's as I go. But you could also cut one long strand and fold it in half if you do a loop start. It will just mix the colors up a little bit. It's also gorgeous. It just makes a tweedy kind of look. I can't remember if I showed you this bag already. This is a bag I purchased from my friend Jordan. Her Etsy store is Jordy's Handmade. On Etsy. Oh, I said that. Jordys Handmade. And I just think this bag is so pretty. I think I showed it to you last time, but I had to show you again. Oh, and actually, I'm not going to show you what's in here yet because that was at the retreat. You'll have to wait a minute on that one. This is Fairy Square by Carolyn Manning Designs, called, oh, Fairy Square. I did a complete, I changed about half the colors in it, so I did a color conversion that will look more like this. It was a gift from a dear friend. I am using DMC, just about half of them I changed the colors. And it's on 46 count Stitch Me Frost in the color Frost. I think Frost and Lunar are my 2 favorite colors of Stitch Me. I need to order some more. And I got quite a bit done on this. I finished the whole square border part, this stuff. I finished all of that with all of the back stitching. I finished the whole inside with all the back stitching. I finished this whole side, and I've started down here on the bottom. So I just have the across here and then up the side. I just think it's so cute. It looks just like my wee village, that little flower garden that I have outside. There are videos of my wee village on my, if you go into the playlists on my Flosstube channel. And I usually show a picture at the beginning. Andrew usually puts in a picture of me at the beginning of the village at the beginning of each of my videos of what it looks like that day. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. This is Primavera in Città, or Spring in the City, by Crocette Agogo. She is in Italy. There is also an autumn version of this, and a winter and a spring. Oh, this is spring and summer. It's a little city of bunnies. Oh, I love the colors in this. I love the cute little bunnies. I love how whimsical it is. I'm using the called for DMC. On 46 count natural linen, or raw, sometimes it's called raw. My daughter Catherine took it home last year for my birthday and Mother's Day and finished up all the borders for me. She knows how much I love to stitch borders. Not. But I love having all the borders done. Like, that is my favorite way to stitch something, is to finish all the borders and then fill in. But I never do it because I just don't enjoy it. I usually make myself do the borders around things as I go. So she finished all of these borders for me down here, up here, across. I had part of the way across the top done. She finished the rest of the way across the top. So I usually only work on this in the spring. I pulled it out this year and finished the rest of the top up here and started on this square. I just think it's so cute. And I love the springy colors in it. One strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. This one is Stitching Summer by Twin Peak Primitives, which was also a gift from a dear friend. And look at them. They're spools of thread, and there's like birds on top of one. There's 2 guys fishing off of one, little houses on top of one. And then there's like a clothesline thread between them with things hanging on it. I just think it's so cute. Mine is not on the called for fabric. I put mine on 46 count flan by Be Stitch Me. And that is what I have so far. So cute. I love that one. There, the color of the fabric's a little better back here. I just think the fabric is so interesting. Looks very much like sand to me, all the different colors of sand. Did I say the called for DMC, 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. This is a kit by Riolas called Scottish Door. I'm using the kit fabric, Ada 14 count Ada in a tan color, and the kit floss, which is the wool acrylic, which is kind of fuzzy a little bit, like thin yarn. Oh, and I love it. I love the coverage of it. I love the feel of it. And I am almost done with the top half. I'm just finishing up over here, and then I'll just have the bottom half to go. Oh, it's gorgeous. Love working on this one. All right, I've been working on these Janlin kits. Winter montage, summer montage, spring and autumn by Jan Stevers. Janet Stever is the original artwork. There is a full coverage version from Pain Free Crafts that several of my friends are doing also. Stitchin Mommy and Highway Stitcher Colette are a couple. I know there's more. But I decided to do the kit version. Jen Lynn does a kit version of all 4. I work on each one whatever season we're in. Here is the full coverage pain-free crafts version next to the kit version. I do like the colors better of this. I just knew I would never finish full coverage. So I decided to do the kit version instead, but I chose a background fabric that I dyed myself. I actually dyed some fabric that looked more like what this background color was on the full coverage version. I'm using a 36 count linen. I'm using the kit floss, 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. And this is how much I got done on winter before winter ended. I really wanted to finish this square, and I finished the stitching, but I'm not quite finished with all the back stitching yet. So pretty. The kit does have you backstitch everything in the really dark brown, and instead I am backstitching it with whatever the darkest color of that object is. Like in the leaves, I backstitched them with the darkest green. The red apples and stuff I backstitched with the darkest red, because I felt like it blended just a little better. I think I told you that I would love to have finished these this year during each season. Not gonna happen, but I might get half of them, get them all to 50% so that I could finish them maybe next year. And so now I have switched to spring. This is the spring one. I have finished this section and this section, and I've just started on these beautiful close-ups of these. I think they're these cherry blossoms, just a close-up of them with this really dark background, which feels a little odd when you're working on it with that black background, but I like the overall effect, so I will just keep going. Same fabric, the 36 count linen that I overdyed myself. And same technique, the kit floss, 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads on the 36 count. And same thing where I'm backstitching with the darkest color of the object. Oh, needle minder on top of that one. And that's what spring is looking like. I try and work on this on Sundays. Sundays? Sundays, yes, Sundays. I always have a Christ piece that I work on going usually, that I work on Sundays for a few hours, and then I'll pull out whatever my seasonal, either this seasonal or my Lenarte 4 Seasons. I think this is the last one. And this is my Christ piece. I have lots of patterns and kits of Christ that I collect. So I usually have one going all the time. This is my current one. I work on it on Sundays. It is a Jan Lynn kit called Portrait of Christ. I am not using the kit fabric. came with 14 count Aida, but I don't like how even in the model photo you can see the fabric showing through the X's, the darker colors. This is all half stitch up here. Oh, and this is full cross, but look how much of the fabric you can see. So I am using the kit floss, but I changed to 36 count. Even weave by oh, 32 count. It's 32 count French Vanilla by Live and Dye in LA Fabrics. And that's what I have so far. I started in the middle, which I think was over here somewhere, and worked up so that I could finish his face first. All right, I'm going to do some purchases and the plans. Some purchases that I made not at one of the retreats and my plans, and then I'll do all the retreat stuff. I belong to Rika's project bag club, of the project bag of the month club. She is House of Stitch and Stash. Her name is Rika. You can find her on Instagram, House of Stitch and Stash. And I love her 16 by 16 project bags with the vinyl front and the handle. This one has all of the stitching things on it, stitching tools, sewing machine, tomatoes. She always quilts the back. She uses the foam, so they're nice, and they have a lot of body. They'll stand up by themselves. I love that. And I love the 16 by 16 size, because my 11 by 11 will fit in there with all the floss and all the stuff. This is my favorite size. She uses the heavy duty zipper. I love that. So I haven't been showing you the bags every month that I get them, so I thought I would show you really quick the last few that I got. This one is gorgeous. She always picks, she has a fabulous eye for color, what colors will go together, and her sewing is impeccable. And this one. My sister-in-law Debbie and I are going on vacation to Alaska in August. And so, of course, being a stitcher, my first thought was, well, we have to do a cross-stitch piece to commemorate our first trip to Alaska. We got to do that. So I found this Dimensions Charts and Charms on eBay. It's from 1999. Dimensions for a little while did these charts and charms. It's just the chart and the charms. It doesn't come with floss or fabric or anything. And I happened to find 2 of them on eBay, both of them located in Australia. So I ordered them immediately and they got to me. I'm so excited. I'm not going to start it on the trip because, you know, when you're on a trip, everything's crazy. I'm going to start it now. And I think Debbie's going to stitch it too, if she likes it. And get part of it done so that when I'm on the vacation, I can just get it out and do I'll leave some easy part of it to do while I'm on the vacation. So I worked on it on the vacation, so I have memory of that, but starting it on vacation would not be a good idea, I think. I looked at a lot of patterns that looked like Alaska with the whales. Excuse me, but this was the only one that had all these pretty colors in it. And it had the, you know, the glaciers and the whales in it. But it had all the gorgeous colors under the ocean. I loved that. Okay, the Olympics are coming up in July, and if you were here 2 years ago, you know how much I love the Olympics. I will probably, yes, someone asked me, are you going to do another like stitching challenge during the Olympics? And yes, I just haven't decided what it is yet, but I'll let you know what it's going to be. But Jardin Prive just came out with this really cute I have all these gnomes, all these seasonal gnome charts. There's a summer one, a Christmas one, a Halloween one, a whole bunch, 3 or 4 or 5, I can't remember. And then they just came out with this Olympics one. I just think it is the cutest thing. So I'm definitely going to be stitching this during the Olympics, along with whatever else I decide to, what kind of challenge I decide to do during the Olympics. I just think they're so cute. Look at this little rubber pool, blow-up pool. Probably doing swimming competition in there. This guy's jumping sheep. This guy's lifting weights. What's on the weight bar? Oh, they're plants. Potted plants. Look at the 1, 2, 3 mushrooms. This guy's sleeping. This guy's practicing boxing on his laundry line. It's just darling. Okay, and I showed you the October to October stitch along, the birdhouses, Jardin Prive birdhouses. And we try to be thinking about what the next year's stitch along is going to be so that we aren't stuck at the last minute trying to come up with one. So Colette, the leader, and I and my friend Kim have been discussing it and looking, and we found one that we think we're going to do. So our stitch along beginning next October, or this October, October 2024, when we're done with the birdhouses, we're going to start this one, Matter in Hand by Jeanette Douglas. So I thought I would just give you, you know, pre-warning, lots of time to find it and kit it up if you're interested in joining us. It is 139 by 164 stitches. It calls for 40 count XJU Designs marbled painter. But she also says on here that Zweigart Summer Khaki is a great match. And it does call for some Classic Colorworks, One Gentle Arts, and some Weeks Dye Works. But it also has a DMC conversion on the pattern. I think that's it. Oh, the other thing for plans, Olympics. I've been doing Stitching Mania in May for several years now, and I'm planning on doing that again this May. I'll get a video made, I think, next week of my Mania plans, Maynia, Mania. And if you're interested in what that's all about, you can look at my last year's video where I did my Mania plans and explained it all and showed you my poster of what I had finished and what I hadn't finished and how I do it. It's just a fun activity I like to do in May. But I am planning on doing that. I will be going to StitchCon B. I retire from my full-time job at the local junior high as the admin secretary the day before I leave for StitchCon B. So that is very exciting for me. So looking forward to StitchCon B for so many reasons. StitchCon is always fun. So I'll be there at StitchCon Weekend B. And then I'm going to the retreat that is hosted by Maggie's on Maine in Emmett, Idaho. The retreat is called Stitching on the River and is actually in Boise, I believe. It's not Twin Falls. It's either Twin Falls or Boise, but it's next to a river at a nice hotel called Stitching on the River. But it is hosted by Maggie's on Maine in Idaho. You can go to her website if you want more information about that retreat, Maggie's on Maine. And I think that's all of my plans. Besides, stitch like it's my full-time job, because that's my favorite thing. Okay, I think that's everything except for the retreats. So I've been to 2 retreats. The first one was in March. It was put on by Misty Connolly. She is Misty Connolly on Instagram. I will put her link, her information in the description box below. She had one in March this year. She's had one in October for several years in Casper, Wyoming, called Crazy Woman Stitching Retreat. So if you're interested in the one in October, that will be in Casper, Wyoming, make sure you watch her Instagram account, Misty Connolly, and that's where you sign up for that. The pop-up store that she had there at the retreat in St. George, the spring one was held in St. George, Utah by Misty Connolly, called Southern Utah Stitchers. That was the name of the retreat. The pop-up store that we had there was Stitchery Express. My local needlework shop closed. That was in Salt Lake. So my next closest needlework store is now Stitchery Express. It's just 30 minutes north of Salt Lake City. And then I also have Shepherd's Bush, which is like 40 minutes north of Salt Lake City. But she had a store there with lots of stuff for us to buy. She's just off the Antelope Drive exit from the freeway in Clearfield. She does, if you haven't been there lately, she has totally redone everything. It is gorgeous. And she also has a stitching room now. On Saturdays, you can come. She's open Saturday 10 to 6. And you can come and stitch in the stitching room. She has a couple of tables in there and chairs. And then her regular hours are Tuesday through Friday and Saturdays. But if you take a screenshot of that information, you'll have everything you need. She has a very active Facebook page and a website. Oh my gosh, words. Stitchery X, the letter X, press. So, of course, I bought several things from her, which I'm sure will come up here in a minute. She had all the brand new market stuff there. That was exciting. So I bought the Heart and Hand More Anytown Tiny Town from her. And I also bought Frosty, the new Frosty Tiny Town by Heart and Hand. And the little frill that went with it. That was fun. She had some Colonial Petite needles, which I'm purchased and I'm trying. And then she had some fabric. I always love looking at the fabric. This is 46 count Dust Bunny by Fox and Rabbit. She put them in paper sacks and labeled them for me so I wouldn't forget what they were. This is 40 count Dove by Weeks Dye Works. Is that 40? Yeah. 46 count Beige, which has a greenish cast to it, by Weeks Dye Works. It's like a light springy green. And 40 count Zweigart Winter Moon. All right. The retreat piece project that we received. Oh, this has two. I love this. We got this cool bag at the retreat, and it has two zippers. It has this front pocket zipper and a top zipper. So there's two sections. Oh, and a handle. Look how cool is that? We got the logo, the Southern Utah Stitchers Retreat logo as a pattern, and it was charted by Cricklewood Crossing, my friend Jenny. She's awesome. And we were given fabric to stitch it on. Snickerdoodle by Red Thicket. 32 count. And they gave us the DMC floss to stitch it. And we also got Mr. and Mrs. Summer from Dirty Annie's as a retreat gift. And we all got a dough bowl. She had 4 colors to choose one. I chose 4 colors to choose from. I chose this one, this beautiful teal color. It's wooden dough bowl. My friend Ray was there, and I got this cute little hedgehog and a needle minder and a sticker, hedgehog sticker from her. These beautiful needle minders from some stitchy friends that were there. They're so generous. This little Stitchy Essentials bag. Uh-oh. Can't be dropping the stuff. I got this beautiful bag from my friend Emily. Isn't that gorgeous? These beautiful floss drops from Shelley Rathjen. This beautiful needle minder, or a needle floss drop holder with a bee on it. And then I bought some magnets from Cricklewood Crossing. Also, there were several other vendors there as well. Cricklewood Crossing was one of them. I always love her needle minders. And her daughter, Kiki, makes some too. This was one that Kiki made. And these two were ones that Jenny made. I love them because they're so strong. They use the best magnets. Okay, I think that's everything from Southern Utah Stitching. Live and Dye in LA was there selling fabric. Red Thicket was there selling fabric. Oh, Live and Dye LA also does hand-dyed floss. Trying to think who else was there. Cricklewood Crossing. I hope that's everybody. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. That was, clear back in the beginning of March, and now I can't remember. Okay, and then the other retreat I went to was put on by Deb and Kath of Snug Harbor Crafts, and it was their spring StitchWest, I guess is what it was officially called. StitchWest Spring. We got this big, huge tote bag as a gift when we checked in. It was awesome. I happened to be sitting next to Rika, House of Stitch and Stash, and was able to buy this project bag from her. I just think it is gorgeous. Got a handle, 16 by 16. I love it. So the retreat was held in Ogden at Hampton, the historic Hampton Inn and Suites, which is an old building built in the 1800s. It was so cool. Right next to the Eccles Convention Center, which is where the retreat was. And then like a block down and right across the street was Shepherd's Bush. So whenever we wanted to, we could just walk down the street and go to Shepherd's Bush, which was fabulous, but dangerous. So Shepherd's Bush is on historic 24th Street in Shepherd's Bush. The freeway exit, when you take that 24th Street exit, it ends up right on 24th Street, takes you straight to Shepherd's Bush. Here's their contact information and their hours. I think they have been there for something like, in that same location, designing gorgeous cross stitch for something like 30 years. It's just amazing. Terry and Tina are the designers and they run the store. So you get to meet them if you go there. Amazingly enough, I only went to Shepherd's Bush once. But my friends went several times. I don't know how that happened. Maybe because I lived nearby, so I didn't end up over there as many times. I got this little fabric with this little tiny hoop on it. So I'm going to stitch something on that fabric, 1/1 by the Bee Company. And then I also bought these gorgeous wooden buttons by the Bee Company. I bought Plum Street Samplers Summer Moon to go with my Spring Moon that I'm stitching. Beautiful. They had this freebie out that you could get from, it's by Teresa Kogut, called I Stitch. It was a freebie available at the Nashville Needlework Market, and stitching stores that went to Nashville can hand it out. And I always buy some of their little charms, leather. They're made out of leather and they're sewed. When I'm there, I love putting them on my floss rings or as a zipper pull. And then I also bought some fabric and floss for a project I'll show you. For the for that the living ocean chart that I'm making for my trip to Alaska, I bought some light blue Aida and all the DMC to stitch that. My local friend, Kathy Lloyd, gave me this gift. It is a notebook covered in this gorgeous fabric. Isn't that the prettiest thing you've ever seen? Oh, I love it, Kathy. My friend Sharon gave us all at our table a stitching kit, everything we would need in there while we're at a retreat kit. That's what it is. Everything you might need while you're at the retreat. Lots of sewing tools, a notebook and a pencil. These to eat messy snacks without getting your fingers dirty. Some finishing string. And Chris from Stitchy Fix. I got to see her again. It was so fun to see her. She gave me this beautiful bee bag. Look at that. Which was fabulous because the guest designer, which I'll get to in a minute, was bee themed. It has some candy in it and some stitching tools. Thank you. Live and Dye in LA was there again, selling her fabrics and her floss that she hand dyes. I got some 40 count oatmeal, some 40 count cream pie, some 40 count silver lining, which is a beautiful gray, and some 40 count winter skies. Her fabric is lovely. A wonderful stitcher, trying to read her name, oh, Absent Minded Stitcher, gave me this beautiful pin cushion and even made us a little sticker that says Stitching with Friends in the Mountains, StitchWest Spring 2024, with pins in there too. Thank you. My lovely friend gave us these little bees made out of Hershey's Kisses. They're so cute. Cherry Tree Cottage Designs gave us all some floss and a little treat. Jack's Creative Inspirations gave us all a fob that says SW Spring, StitchWest Spring in the year. One of my fabulous friends at my table made us all one of these Ort holders. You snap up the sides and it makes a little square Ort holder. I saw my good friend Stitching Scotty. One of my table mates gave me this beautiful sticker. A lovely stitcher gave us this floss ring with this beautiful bat charm on it and a little orange flower. Deb and Kath of Snug Harbor Crafts gave us all a beehive honeycomb soap. Oh, and my good Stitching friend that was there, Kim Knowles, gave us all delicate arch floss drops. Look at that, and a ring and a charm and a needle minder. Oh, and a needle threader. Oh, and I don't know her name, but a wonderful stitcher stitched these for everyone. Isn't that amazing? Oh, my friend Sharon. Another one of the lovely stitchers there gave us all a needle threader and a floss drop. Quilting Treasures 313 gave us all a beautiful floss ring with this beautiful charm on it that looks like this. The picture on the charm looks like this. Okay, and Sue gave us this cute kitty needle minder. And one of the lovely stitchers gave us all this frog pin. Isn't they cute? And then Primrose Cottage was the guest designer. And I'll pull out everything they gave us right here in just a sec. But I have two things in here. They left a gift on our table every day of the retreat. And the first day was a cute little card that I'll show you in a minute with a note from them and 2 skeins of floss. And this cute little bee friend that I taped to my little stand that I use at stitching retreats. So I could look at him during the retreat. Okay. The bag, this one, Jordy's handmade bag. Oh. So the retreat piece that we received as part of the retreat from Primrose Cottage is called Honeybees and Stitching Please. And we received the chart, the floss to stitch it with, which I have right here in these floss bags. And not that one. A finishing kit to finish it into a pillow. It's got the trim, the background fabric, the piece of wool. And then they also had some two other charts there that they have not released yet, but they will release later this year, that they gave us the option to buy right then if we wanted to, because they match the retreat piece. There is Honeybee Basket and Honeybee Quilt. And it's the same set of floss that they gave us that will also stitch these two. And there's enough floss to stitch all three. So I purchased these two patterns from them. And then I also purchased, not that one, the finishing kit for the Honeybee Quilt to make it into a pillow, and it also comes with the pins, the cute pins to make it. This was the note that we got the first day with the little bee on it. The last day, we all got a piece of finishing fabric at our table. And the middle day, we got this cute note from them that has a freebie on the back, a freebie pattern. This I'm also going to stitch. So I want to stitch the freebie pattern. Oh, and a sticker. Came with the fabric. I'm going to stitch the freebie pattern and the 3 charts. We got the one and the other 2 that I purchased. I want to stitch all of them. So I stitched the retreat piece on the fabric that they gave us in the kit. Came with the fabric and the floss. It is a 25 count even weave, and I finished it. I used the called for fabric, 25 count, called for floss, 2/2. It makes a nice sized pillow, and I have all this. I'll finish it with the finishing kit that came with it. I just think it's so cute. And then I started the Honeybee Quilt. And that's how much I have so far. I also bought this needle minder from them. I think it's called Barn Quilt. This was from Ray. All right, I think that is everything. I hope. I hope I didn't forget something. All right, I will see you again the next time I make a video, hopefully sooner than the last video that I made. Have a fabulous stitching day. Bye-bye.